welcome to the Untranslatable Travel Tips. And today we have a very special episode coming your way. Today we will be talking about the beautiful and amazing college town of East Lansing, where I was fortunate enough to spend the last 4 years of my graduate school career living there and exploring the beautiful city. So we're looking forward to bringing you some tips in case you end up going to East Lansing for academic purposes, travel purposes, or maybe you want to check out a football or basketball game of the Michigan State Spartans. So we're looking forward to bringing this episode your way. And I'm also curious to get Jared's input on what his thoughts are in East Lansing, since he was visiting me there once in a while to play some soccer. So I'm looking forward to it. And without further ado, my co-host, my buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Ferndale, Michigan, and Jinan, China. How exciting. But today we're talking about Chad's old home. I think maybe he's a little homesick already. But please, first, everyone,
spread a little love.
You can follow us on Instagram. I'm sure Chad has some East Lansing related or Michigan State related pictures that he could pass my way. And you will find those on our Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, or Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. I post the episodes there. And I used to say that I post the songs of the pod because I used to, but I've really been getting lazy for the past episode. But hey, don't you worry.
Hey, you're a busy guy.
Don't you worry, people. I still find time to post them onto our YouTube Song of the Pod playlist. You'll find them there always. And you can also recommend... Song of the Pod. I'm sorry. I'm getting... you don't need to... you can send us Songs of the Pod. I forgot this was the travel tips. Give us travel ideas. Slide into those DMs. Untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Email us. Give us travel trips locations. Either places you want to know about or places that you like, and give us some recommendations yourself. Why not? And also,
spread a little love
with 5-star reviews. So when you first brought up East Lansing, I first kind of thought it was kind of ridiculous. I'm like, East Lansing is an interesting place for a tourist to come visit. But then I thought, if someone is from outside of the United States specifically, I think we have a very unique, like the college town is very uniquely American, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would agree.
And I think it gives you a great glimpse into American culture, too, if that's what you're trying to find. And I think it is a great way to immerse yourself. And it's easy. It's an easy way to kind of put yourself out there, too, just because of, just because it's children, essentially. What do you like about East Lansing? What do you miss about East Lansing?
I would say just being able to walk around the campus. The campus is incredibly beautiful. There are some really wonderful buildings, and especially walking along the Red Cedar River, which is the river that runs through East Lansing. And the cool thing about that is that the Red Cedar River Trail will take you actually all the way into Lansing. Which, in my opinion, will deserve eventually in the future another travel tips episode.
Really?
Because that's a completely different place in itself. Yes, absolutely.
That is a good thing to clarify, by the way. East Lansing and Lansing are different cities. They just, one is called East Lansing.
Now, I will say this, though, Jared. I think if Michigan State University was not in East Lansing, I'm not sure there would be a ton to do because, as you mentioned, it is definitely a college town. But that's also good because if you're looking...
of East Lansing is? Sorry.
I have no idea.
It's 49,579 people. Do you know what the student population at MSU is?
Have to be over 30,000.
50,000 people.
There we go.
So
there we go.
There's more students in the town than people that actually live in the town. So,
and I would be willing to bet most of the people that live in the town are either affiliated with the university in some way or another, or they work in Lansing.
Right.
One or the other.
Okay.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
They own a place and there, but they don't actually live there.
Right.
Is that possible?
And there are a lot of places definitely that rent out to college students.
Oh, for
I
sure.
don't know if I'd be so brave to do that, but hey, people are doing that out in East Lansing. But yeah, it's a great place. I would say it's very tranquil, except for once the school year starts, and it's kind of that peak hour between classes when all the students are kind of scurrying around campus to get to their next class. But during the summer, it's really peaceful. It's really nice. You won't really find any lines at any restaurants or bars if you're trying to have some tasty food or enjoy a nice drink while you're there.
Wait, hold on. So would you recommend visiting in the summer?
I would say my peak time to visit would actually be in the fall.
Okay.
Because just how
I agree
beautiful the
with you.
scenery is. Yeah.
Well, I also think that the peak time to visit is in the fall because the thing about East Lansing is that it's a college town. So to get really the full experience of being there, you have to go. When college is happening. I had a question for you. So I want to get into some must-see attractions. I think a lot of them have
Let's
to do
do it.
with. A lot of them have to do with the college, right? Mm-hmm. And so
Absolutely.
my first obvious one, I would say, if you're going to be in East Lansing, is a college sports event. Now, to get the best college sporting experience, do you go to a football or basketball game?
I think it depends on what you're looking for because
That's the
football.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's just the easy answer.
That is the easy answer. Well, but let me explain now what you'd be looking for if you want to see a football game versus a basketball game. So a football game, I would honestly suggest a football game just because the atmosphere is a whole lot different than a basketball game. Because check out one of our episodes we covered on tailgating. Because you can experience tailgating in American culture, which I think is very unique. It's a lot of fun. People are super friendly and sociable on those days. So especially if you're coming from out of the country, it would be an awesome way to meet a lot of Americans and get to learn more about what tailgating is and everything like that. You can do things like play cornhole.
Yes.
Oftentimes people will offer you, hot dogs or burgers or maybe
cornhole,
even
Chad?
beers. Cornhole is this game that I think most people play either out in the country or tailgating, where you
It's
have
not
like
turning into a bar game, though.
No, but it does have that professional cornhole league. Remember, we were talking to Don about
no,
that.
for sure. I mean, it is like a very Midwestern-y kind of thing, but I think now more in the U.S. is turning into like a bar thing as well. Like bars that have the space might have like a like there was this bar by me that always had it set up outside of their place, and they do like tournaments and stuff.
Well, anyways, Jared, you did ask what it is.
Yeah,
so
I'm sorry.
Cornhole is you're good. Cornhole is like this slab of wood that has a hole towards the back of it, and then you have these bean
like a
bags that are
rectangle.
usually
Yes,
and you throw the bean bags
And
usually
it's
underhand.
slanted. It's like slanted,
Yes,
slightly.
it's slanted. And so the goal is to get as many of your bean bags through the cornhole as you can.
Mm-hmm. But you also get points if it lands on the board, but just less points than if it goes in the hole.
Right.
So yeah, that's
I
a
have no
popular
idea
game.
what the point system is. Yeah.
And also I think something that's also kind of foreign to, obviously it's foreign. I was going to say foreign to people not from the United States. If you're not from the United States and we're talking about the United States, you'd be foreign, I guess. Anyway, is the level of drinking games that we do here. I think drinking games is also a uniquely American thing, at least the way we do it. So anything from your standard sort of beer pong to your more adventurous, like I even took a picture on our Instagram of people doing keg stands in the front lawn.
Yep. And you have Flip Cup. You have tons of drinking games
Flip
as well.
Cup's another one, yes.
Right. And just some information for our listeners out there who aren't from the States. The reason why we have all these drinking games and drink so heavily before college football games is because you cannot drink in the stadium. So people try to get as much alcohol in their bodies as they can before the game.
Football games are like 3 to 3.5 hours long. So
Right. I would say with halftime, it might even be 4 hours.
Maybe. That's the thing I don't like about football games, is that they are so freaking long. Basketball games are usually like, an hour and a half to 2 hours?
Yep, college basketball will be usually clean 2 hours.
Yeah. And so that's usually easier to manage. And the thing about football games, it's also, they are in fall. Basketball would be in winter, so it's harder to do stuff outside.
Exactly, and that's what I wanted to get at. You took the words right out of my mouth, Jared. So with a basketball game, there isn't really going to be any tailgating. It's probably going to be very cold. And it's just a different environment. I prefer going to the basketball games in terms of actually watching because they're shorter. But I really love the social aspect of tailgating on. Usually, it's a football Saturday, is what we call it. In the States, and it's really great. And the cool thing too about tailgates on football Saturday is you can walk around the campus. It's usually very beautiful. Everybody's in a good mood. And Spartan Stadium is also a really nice stadium. It's actually across the street from where I spent most of my time as a graduate student, Wells Hall. And right behind Wells Hall is going to be the Red Cedar River. So if you can find the stadium on East Lansing's campus, you can easily find the river, which is great. And what's cool is the Spartan Stadium and the Breslin Center, where the basketball team plays, they are also within walking distance. They're down the same road, which is called, I believe, either Shaw Road or Shaw Lane. So yeah, and definitely college sports are important to check out if you've especially never been. And depending on the game and the time of the season, you can relatively find cheap tickets usually. Not always, but sometimes you can. I've paid anywhere from like $5 for a MSU basketball ticket. Now, granted, that was way up in the nosebleed seats, way up at the very top. But the way the Breslin Center is designed, you can still see very clearly. So I didn't mind paying the $5 for the.
Yeah,
you
just feel like you're gonna fall off into a black hole.
Right.
But other than that,
right. So if you're afraid of heights, maybe that's not a great tip. But otherwise, yeah. But let's talk about a couple other must-see attractions, Jared. So the easy ones are obviously the ones on the college campus. So the Broad is great, and it looks like we call it the spaceship because it kind of looks like a spaceship, and that is an art museum. And I believe it should be free whenever it's open, and they usually have different events in there too once in a while. So check that out. I'm sure they have a bulletin board in there, or if you just Google Broad Art Museum East Lansing, there should be a list of things to do and things to see within the museum. And the exhibitions in the museum are always changing, so it's really great. So check that out for sure, and that's just an interesting building to look at. And fun fact for you, Jared, that building was actually used in the Batman movie with Ben Affleck. Now, I haven't seen that movie, but I know that building was used in there.
I
was on campus while they were filming.
Ben Affleck.
Right.
With Kurt.
But yeah, so that's really great. And then the other thing is, too, East Lansing is known for being a very green place, not only because of the university colors, but there's just a lot of beautiful greenery. And that all the trees on East Lansing's campus are actually protected. So that's really great. And there's also some really beautiful botanical gardens. There are the horticulture gardens. And then further out, closer to Service Road, they have what they call the 4-H Children's Garden, which has all the plants are labeled. Actually, the plants are labeled in all the gardens, now that I remember. But the 4-H Children's Garden is great because there's a little playground and stuff like that. So if you are traveling to East Lansing with your kids in tow, take them to the Children's Garden. It's really cool. Another great place as well is the Abrams Planetarium, which is also going to be on Shaw Lane. And that's a really cool place as well. And you can check out, you can look up in the stars and things like that as well. And then if you are looking for more events on campus, I would highly suggest looking into the Wharton Center. And the Wharton Center is the big performance hall where I saw Trevor Noah there give a talk, which was really great. They have all sorts of orchestras play there.
Do they get a
dance
lot of
performances?
Like a lot of big performances there?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
I guess you just Trevor Noah. That's not nothing.
Right, that's a pretty big name as well, definitely.
Right.
And then if you're into sports, I would check out IM East if you want to play some soccer. The tennis courts are also free to use for the public.
Anyone can just go in and play?
So IM East, if you're not a student, I mean, you can still go play soccer because it's outdoors. Now, if you want to use the gyms, yes, you have to be a student.
How are you going to play? Oh, you just bring your own ball is what you're saying?
Sure. Or you go there and there's usually pickup games all the time.
Oh, okay.
So that's really good. And then another place, too, I would suggest, Jared and I were fairly well connected with the soccer community there back in the day. Another place I would suggest is called the Hannah Community Center.
Just to be clear.
Right, but the Hannah Community Center can be found on Abbott Road. And Abbott Road is also a great place because that kind of connects the residential areas of East Lansing with the campus. So if you walk down Abbott Road, you can easily get to campus. And there's a really great restaurant I would recommend there as well called Dublin. And Dublin is great because on Wednesdays, it's half off.
Okay.
So it's very cheap.
Speaking of Dublin, I'm glad you brought up Dublin. East Lansing has a very bustling bar scene and some clubs, but mostly bars, I would say.
I'd agree.
And I pulled up a list, and I wrote them down, and I have them here in front of me. And I'm going to name through a list of a couple of places, and I want you to just give me first word or phrase that comes to your mind. Don't think too much about it.
Okay.
This is
all right.
intended to be quick. Whenever we do this, it never ends up being quick, but this is the tin can.
So just one word, tin can.
That's a bar, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
bar,
okay.
and I would say beer pong. That's why a lot of people go there. Beer pong and canned beer. They don't have any beer on tap.
Are you allowed? You're allowed. I mean, I guess so. I didn't know you're allowed to have like bar games like that. I guess why not? I don't know.
Well, I think the way they get around it is as long as you keep your drinks off of the beer pong table, it's not technically a drinking game.
Oh, okay. That's
I
easy.
think.
That's
Yeah,
easy.
because there were a couple times where I would accidentally put my beer on
Right.
there, and somebody in the bar would very quickly come by and hey, get your beer off there. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
But
it's
so
just
I
a
would
game.
say I would say beer pong and canned beer. That's the things that come to mind. Give me the
Okay.
next one.
Sidebar.
Never been.
Crunchies.
Oh, I would say quintessential college bar. One of my favorites in East Lansing because the beers, they have a great tap selection. It's very affordable, and they have a lot of fun events. So they have karaoke there. They have trivia. And when I was there, they also had a magician that would come around and do magic tricks.
Okay.
So that was pretty
awesome.
cool.
The Riv.
And also go to Crunchies. Before I get to the Riv, go to
okay.
Crunchies on Monday. Because on Monday, they have a really good beer and burger deal.
Okay.
Just a heads up.
The
There's a
Riv.
little budget tip. The Riv, I would say, is Pandemonium College Bar. They have, I forget what day it is now, but the Riv basically, I mean, you'll see a line going down the street because I think they have like a super cheap deal on pitchers and burgers or something. But yeah.
It's a restaurant. Like restaurant bar.
I would
bar
say,
restaurant.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very basic bar food.
It's weird that you'd see people like waiting around the corner for a bar restaurant.
Well, it's mostly because of the cheap pitchers.
Right.
And I forget what day it is, but there's they call it Rama. Rama. If you ask anybody in East Lansing when Rama is, they can tell you. I never went because I was a grad student trying to be a little bit better behaved than all the undergrads.
You don't want to see your
They're
students
trying.
there.
That as well. But yeah. And most of these bars, Jared, are also within walking distance. So if you go to Grand River, you'll be able to find a lot of them, the tin cans on Grand River. And then the Riv is like on a side street from Grand River. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at the deal. It's called
What's the deal?
Rama because it's Burger Rama.
Yep.
And you can get half off pitchers on Monday. And you can get $5 for a burger and fry. $5 for a burger and fry.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like $3 for liquor, essentially. And then on Thursday, $1 from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's $1 burger and fries.
That's when it's pandemonium there.
And it's $4.25 for a pitcher of Coors.
Yep.
That sounds like it would be pandemonium. Oh, and
Yep.
geez,
It's dangerous.
It's actually more and $8.50 for mini pitchers. So it's more for smaller.
Is that draft like
It just says mini
microbreweries?
pitchers varieties. I don't know what a mini pitcher is.
I would imagine that would be like they usually have Two Hearted or Oberon, like Michigan draft beers there.
Okay. And then and then on the same day after 9:00, it's $2 for well drinks. So $2 or well drinks for those people that don't know is just like your basic liquor, vodka, whiskey, whatever that might be.
Right. Right.
And
The
then
bottom
you can
shelf,
get like
I'd say.
obviously mixed drinks and stuff with it. But
Right.
yeah. Wow. Okay. Let's keep going.
Yep.
Peanut
Yep.
Barrel.
Word. Long Islands. They are well known for their Long Island iced teas. You can only
Wow.
have 2 of them if you go there.
That's like
And
the limit that you're allowed to order.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Yep.
hilarious.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yep.
they're smart about it.
Some people try to they'll go there, start their night, have 2 Long Islands, and try to come back in. But usually the bartenders are pretty good about that, and they won't continue to serve you. The other thing is too.
Why don't they just
I
make
would say
them less strong?
That's because it's a college town, Jared. They're going to lose business.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of some of the fun in it too. The fact that you have to say, "Oh, I can only have 2 of these."
It's like because you can't have it, you want it more.
right. And the food at the Peanut Barrel is not bad, but yeah, Long Islands would be the word I'd associate, or 2 words.
That was kind of if we went to what was the place that Mary worked at, or like her family
Charlie's,
or something.
right?
Yeah, there
Charlie's, yeah.
you couldn't really do more than. I mean, there's no rule, but it's kind
Right.
of the same thing with the Long Islands that Mary would make for us.
They'll get you.
Rick's.
Trash.
Damn.
That is, or maybe that's the wrong term. I would say for Rick's, that's the
harsh.
I'll give a
I
nicer
agree with
one.
you, I guess, because I've been there once and I hated every second of it.
Right.
You and
Right.
Shane dragged me there.
I'll give you another one. for Rick's. I would say Rick's is like the end of the night.
Garbage.
Like that's where everyone ends up at the end of the night. But yeah.
Okay. But I would also say there's sort of a quintessential college town vibe to that as well.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
But it is just like a super trashy club.
Yep.
Harrison Roadhouse.
I really like Harrison Roadhouse. I would say for that, my 2 words would be older crowd. Generally,
Okay.
I think the Harrison Roadhouse, it's a bit more older crowd. Really good
slower.
food as well there.
Not slower
Yeah.
in by service, but like the clientele's not as
Exactly.
Intense.
Exactly. They're not raging. Yeah.
right. Harper's.
Get your groove on. That's where you go to dance, man. Harper's. They have a
You
huge
like
dance
Harper's?
floor. Usually the DJs. Yeah, I enjoyed it back in the day. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like to me you tell me you don't like clubs, but really you do.
Yeah, I guess I do.
You're just trying to placate me. Hopcat.
Beers, man. Beers.
Yeah. Hopcat, though, is also, I don't know about all those other places I named, but Hopcat's also a chain. It's a good chain. I'm not
Yes,
saying that
it
to
is.
shit on it, because sometimes
Right.
you say chain, you think like Applebee's or something. It's a good
Right.
chain. I think it's only a Michigan thing.
No, I'm pretty sure it's in a couple other states now. But the
Okay.
cool thing about Hopcat too is, although I think the food is pretty much the same everywhere, the taps are different. So
Yes.
what you get at Hopcat
And there's
in
an
Detroit or
extensive
Ann Arbor
list
is different.
always.
Oh yeah, and it's always changing.
And
for
we
sure.
shouted them out a couple of months ago for changing the name of their famous crack fries.
To Cosmic
Brad told
Fries.
me what they changed them to, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, Cosmic Fries
Oh, did you tell me?
or Cosmo Fries, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, I think Brad might have told me. And that's all on my list. Did I miss anything?
You did. You missed 2 of my favorites.
Okay.
You missed Dublin.
I
that's
didn't
a
bring it
restaurant
up.
bar.
I had it written down. I didn't bring it up because you brought it up, but I should have brought it up again.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean for Dublin, I would say affordable. At least if you go on Wednesdays, and Wednesdays are always great because I think it's half off until 11 o'clock or
That's
midnight.
the place across the street from Rick's, right?
Kind of,
Slightly
yes.
back
yeah.
a little bit, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I really like the food at Dublin. All the food that I've had there has been fantastic. They have a great tap selection. And actually, I'm a little bummed, Jared. You left out my favorite bar in East Lansing.
have I been there? I know I've been to
think so.
Dublin.
P.T. O'Malley's. It's also an Irish bar.
I don't
And
remember.
P.T.
I
O'Malley's
remember
is
Dublin.
down
'cause I
Abbott
remember-
Road.
Dublin was where that dude was dancing. Or
Yep.
those two dudes.
Yep.
P.T. O'Malley's. I'm gonna look it up.
So it's also on Abbott Road. It's a little bit further. P.T. O'Malley's is right next to Rick's. Right next to Rick's is where P.T. O'Malley's is.
Okay.
And P.T. O'Malley's, they usually have some good prices on like draft beers
I don't know
and
if
pitchers.
I've been here.
I swore I took you there, maybe not. But
Maybe you did.
Anyways, the other cool thing
Maybe
though,
it was
Jared,
for the
about
last
P.T.
drink of the night,
O'Malley's
and I was like, please, can we go
could be.
home?
It could be. But the cool thing about P.T. O'Malley's is they have the shot wheel. So you spin the wheel and they have all these goofy shots. And I think they're like $2 or $3. And you
okay.
spin it. And so that's kind of fun. And
Kyle-
I've always liked that because the DJ's usually decent. It's a little bit cozier than Rick's. And the clientele and the staff there are
I
also
was
pretty,
I was
pretty
about
good.
to say
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that it seems like college bars are more gimmicky, but I feel like gimmicky is almost like insulting it, and I don't even know if I mean to insult it.
Right.
It just feels like they have more like. I think it's just more because it's just the competition of it. It's kind of
Right.
and it's
Right.
and it's just the clientele that you're trying to appease. Like I totally understand why beer pong would be a huge hit.
Right.
And I totally get
Absolutely.
that. Now,
Absolutely.
what if someone's trying to like meet people? You know, like say it's a single lady or man out on the town. Do you think that
I'd go to Dublin, P.T. O'Malley's. I'd just go to some of these bars or walk around campus. People are very approachable on college campuses.
I think that's another
know.
reason why it's a good time to go in fall because people are
Absolutely.
also, especially if you're wearing the home team's garb, and just get a hat.
Green and
It
white.
doesn't have to be anything special. Get a
Right.
$5 T-shirt. There people are always surprisingly friendly, especially friendly to like first timers or newcomers to this sort of event or
Absolutely.
something like that. I am
Absolutely.
new
And-
to football and tailgates.
Right. Right.
Chug this beer.
Show me around. Yeah. Right. Oh man. Yeah. That's so true. A couple other places too on campus, Jared, that I would highly suggest that people go visit are the MSU Student Union, which you can easily see from Grand River. If you take Abbott Road down towards campus, the Student Union building is on that side, on the other side of Grand River. So the interesting thing is Grand River splits the commercial part of East Lansing, where a lot of the restaurants and bars are, with campus. So on the one side of Grand River, you'll get your restaurants and bars. On the other side is the campus. And so the Student Union's there. And if you go to the Student Union, I would say there are 3 things you have to do there. Number 1, you have to go to what we call the dairy store. And the dairy store is all milk, and it's all made on campus from Michigan State dairy cows. So there's a dairy farm because MSU started as an agricultural university. So it started out with farming and everything. And also, if you have a car with you, I would highly suggest driving down to the cow farm. You can get a free tour, and it's really awesome. I took my mom there before I graduated, and she loved it. So that's another fun fact.
Sense. Yeah. I can imagine that.
Yep. And so you have to go to the dairy store in the Student Union. The other thing is, too, you have to, I would say, you mentioned getting a T-shirt or a hat or something. There is the MSU bookstore inside there as well, which you can a lot of times get.
Come on, go to Amazon. If you go to the bookstore, it's going to be like $45 for a T-shirt.
Well, that's because it's all going to be Nike stuff. If you want cheaper MSU stuff, go down Grand River. There's I forget the name of the place now, but it's like a T-shirt print shop, and I think the T-shirts are like $5.
Okay.
So check that out if you're trying to get cheap. If you want that Nike swag, though, there you go. And the last thing you need to do.
Not the best for Chad.
That's right. The last thing you need to do is you need to take a selfie with the Spartan statue inside the Student Union. It's really cool.
Do you have a selfie with that statue?
Of course I do. I'll put that up on.
Can you send that to me, please?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, should be on my other phone, but I should be able to send it to you. Yeah. So yeah, the Student Union's great, and then there's also I always get hate. 1 second here. I always forget the name of this tower, and I don't want to say the wrong one because I usually confuse it with the one at U of M. And that is not what you want to do if you're talking about stuff at MSU. Yeah, so
don't go to that tower.
The
Do not go to that tower.
That's right. That's right. At least now if we're talking about East Lansing. But it is called the Beaumont Tower. That's where I thought it was. And so the Beaumont Tower is, you can see it very easily from the Student Union building. And it's kind of across the quad, which is like this beautiful green area. And the Beaumont Tower is really cool. And that's where a lot of people... if you are an MSU student and you have a boyfriend or girlfriend that was also an MSU student, a lot of people propose in front of the tower, or they'll do wedding pictures in front of the tower. And it's really nice. And then across the street from that is the library. And next to the Beaumont Tower is like a really cool history museum. And that's free to the public as well. And I actually took Chris Blaker there.
Rick's.
I hope you do. That's a classiest establishment to propose at, Jared. That's for sure. But yeah, so I want to give a couple other tips, though, Jared, of things around town. Because obviously, you can just wander around campus and you'll see a lot of beautiful things. And I would say that's my main budget tip for today, is just walk around the campus because it's free. There's a lot of other free stuff to do on campus, like the Broad Art Museum, also the History Museum as well. I would also say go in the library. There can be a nice view from the top floor of the library looking down upon the river, which is also really nice. But I would say if you're into books, there is a really awesome bookstore on Grand River called the Curious Bookshop. And I have found, Jared, some German books there. They have all sorts of different sections, and down in the basement they have the foreign languages. And I had found some German books that were published a long, long time ago that you could not find anywhere else. So if you're an avid reader, check out the Curious Bookshop because it has a lot of cool stuff. And usually they have a small cart in front of the store with stuff that's like clearance. And I think you can get books for like 50 cents to $1. So it's really fantastic. Awesome. Yeah. And then the other thing is, too, you mentioned Crunchies. I would say Crunchies is definitely a must-go-to place for lunch or dinner while you're there. Or if you want to show off your pipes and do some karaoke. I believe it's on Thursdays is when they have karaoke. So that's also a lot of fun. What else around campus? Ooh, another big one, too, if you want to play basketball or tennis or walk around, is called Patriarch Park. And you can find that if you go to Bircham Road. And Patriarch Park is down the street from that. So there's a lot of great places in East Lansing. I would say it's usually a very safe city for the most part. There's a lot of tasty food. Now, Jared, I will say there's one thing you need to watch out for in East Lansing. Do you know what that is?
Drunkards.
Yep. You got it. Drunk college students. Yep. Drunk college students. I mean, other than that, it's usually a very safe place.
Now, I have a question for you. Who would be sort of the customer for doing a vacation in East Lansing? Because I mentioned that like it would be a cool thing for like a European person or anyone not from the U.S. to witness like a uniquely American like a town like that. But East Lansing is a great example, but it's not really realistic to. Or let me ask you: is it realistic to circle like a trip around, like make a trip around going to East Lansing if this is like your trip of the year or one of your 2 trips of the year?
I would say if you want to check out Michigan, most definitely. Anybody from out of the state. Oh yeah, I would say.
You would say honestly, go there before like Detroit or Ann Arbor or.
Well, let me give
Grand
you my
Rapids.
4. Let me give you my 4. If you were going to Michigan, obviously there's a lot more than 4, and we're biased both being Michiganders. But I'd say if you're staying in the
4 is
peninsula,
so hard. I don't like this already.
I'm going to do 4 for you, Jared.
9, I'm like running them through my head.
Right. I'm going to do 4 though for you, Jared.
Okay.
Detroit, East Lansing, Ann Arbor, and then probably Grand Rapids. I would say if I had to condense it to 4, it would be those 4. Notable mentions would be Kalamazoo.
Really?
Obviously Lansing as well. I think Kalamazoo's a cool city. Yeah. Kalamazoo.
No.
Yeah, I would also say Lansing. But yeah. And that's mostly in the lower peninsula.
I would go to like Traverse City. Might be one.
Right. I try to keep them further down. But
okay.
Anyways, we might have to do like a special Michigan edition. That might be kind of fun. It'd be a longer one.
Well,
maybe not. Maybe we'll
want,
focus more on the cities. Mm-hmm.
If you want, it's Labor Day weekend here coming up in Michigan, and I will be on the road again.
Okay. For how long? Will you be on the road again on Monday? Or Sunday night, I guess, for you?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it after the episode.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyways, I would say one of the reasons why I picked East Lansing is I think you can see a lot in a short period of time for very, very cheap. So I would say if you were thinking about how long to stay,
it is cheap.
I would say if you're looking for how long to stay, I would say honestly, unless you're spending a lot of time at the museums, I would say you could knock out most things in a day to 2 days. Now, I would say stay for a long weekend so you can really get the vibe of the city and try out a lot of places and get to walk around a lot. I don't know how strong people's legs are, so depending on how much you want to walk, I would suggest a weekend, especially in the fall.
Yeah.
Now where to stay? If you're willing to shell out some more money, I believe it's either a Hilton or a Hampton right downtown. And I would suggest that just because it puts you in the epicenter of everything within walking distance very easily. Otherwise, I'd say check out Airbnbs because I'm sure you can find some very affordable Airbnbs even within the city.
I assume college towns in general probably have a lot of Airbnb action going on.
I would think so. Yeah. I would think so. Most definitely. Yeah. So those are my tips, though, for East Lansing. Definitely a great place if you want some good food, experience American college culture, and if you enjoy nature. So we hope you are able to eventually get out and see East Lansing. It's a beautiful place. Go green. Do you remember what you're supposed to say after that, Jared?
Go white.
That's right.
Yeah, I embarrassed myself when I was with you.
Yep.
Go green. Go green.
Go green. Right.
You know, that was actually the first time, might have been the first time I visited you in East Lansing, and we hung out with some of your colleagues along the river.
Yep. That was fun, wasn't it? That was a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a beautiful city, and it's worth a visit if you're in or around Michigan. So check that out. And if you have any further questions about East Lansing, let us know at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com.
You betcha.
Or Untranslatable1 on Twitter, or also Untranslatable on Instagram. So we hope you've enjoyed this travel tips. Let us know what you thought about the episode by giving us 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Some feedback would definitely be great. We'd love to hear from you. And check out all the wonderful places in East Lansing. And as we say here at the Untranslatable podcast, bon voyage Děkujeme, muchas gracias, and 谢谢.